Whom the Gods Fear, by J. Wdowski. Chapter 22. 5 hours after letting the Xingnis leave, the Polo received a communique from a Xingnis Brown commander. He thanked Glen and informed them that they had contacted and rendezvoused with his surviving task force ships. He promised again he will relay Glen's message to the Xingnis Tri-Council. "It looks like your gamble may pay off, Mr. Yeager." Granite answered. "Perhaps," added Captain Rubel. "But our long-range sensors have picked up a massive fleet leaving the Xingnis' home world. More than 100 vessels, 20 of them seeming to be large dreadnought-class warships or carriers. It seems to me they are preparing for a fight. It will take them at their fastest speed at least 2 months to reach us," mentioned Granite. "Yes, for their main battle fleet, but we also have a larger task force from Xing 6 of 10 ships heading our way. They seem much larger than the scouts that we just took on." "They should be here within the week," answered Rubel. "Actually, 2 weeks. According to the Brown commander, only their scout ships have the faster sublight engines. They sacrifice armor and firepower for speed on the scout ships," informed Granite. "That means that large battle fleet from Xing 4 should not reach us for 4 months, not 2, pointed out Glen. "How sure are you of this intelligence this Xingnis commander gave you?" asked Captain Rubel. "I am 90% sure he was telling us the truth," replied Glen. "I would agree with Mr. Yeager. You should have seen them shiver with fear every time we suggested allowing Ambassador Stern to question them instead," added Granite. "Well, 2 months or 4 months doesn't really matter. Wdowski has informed me we can jump out of this system any time we wish to." Rubel responded. "So shall we." "Not yet. I still need to talk to the commander of our fleet once it arrives," answered Glen. 9 days later, the first battle fleet finally popped into the Xingnis system. The flagship sent a shuttle to the Marco Polo to take Glen, Rubel, Granite, Mahan, and Rebecca Stern back to the EIS Atlantic. The Big A was what the men and women of the Interstellar fleet referred to her as. Her sister ships, the Big B IS Black Sea, the Big C IS Caribbean, the Big D IS Dead Sea, and the Big EIS Enterprise, was the only dreadnought-class warship not named after a sea or ocean. It was in honor of the first U.S. naval nuclear carrier, also called the Big E back in the late 20th century, the USS Enterprise. Although Glen thought it was really for the Enterprise in the old Star Trek series that was still in reruns. Attached to the dreadnoughts, they had 2 battle cruisers each, named after Earth countries. Also assigned to each dreadnought were 4 swift attack destroyers, named after states or provinces, and 3 deep stealth scout frigates that were named after major Earth cities. The 5 battle groups made up the Earth's first battle fleet. It turned out that the scout frigates that the Polo had earlier encountered were part of the Big A's battle group. Boarding the shuttlecraft from the Atlantic, Glen, Rubel, Mahan, and Granite found Rebecca Stern sitting on board, already with her 2 assistants. She had a white bandage wrapped around her head. "Ambassador Stern, are you okay?" Commander Granite inquired. She gave an accusing glare at Glen. "Mahan's Marines?" Glen questioned. "No," she replied, "not your guerrillas, which I am sure to tell the Admiral about when we see him." "You slipped?" asked Granite. "My gravity plating went out in my cabin." "Well, I guess then you really do have a headache this time," Glen dryly said. The other 3 men and her assistants tried to hold back their laughter. Rebecca Stern was clearly not amused by Glen's comment. "You really are a sexist pig, Yeager." "Did you report the malfunction to engineering?" asked Rubel. One of her assistants responded, "Yes, Captain, we reported it to engineering and took Ambassador Stern to the medic bay. The problem has already been attended to, and the ship's doctor has given the ambassador a clean bill of health. It was just a minor scratch." "What does that ship's quack know?" Rebecca yelled, "As far as I know, I could have a serious concussion." The assistant behind her back shook her head, no, contradicting the ambassador's claim. "If you don't feel well, perhaps you should go back to the medic bay," suggested Glen, hoping she would take his advice. "I will bear the pain, so I can be sure to tell the Admiral of your crimes, Yeager." She pointed another accusing finger at him. "My crimes?" he asked. She counted out each of his offenses on her fingers, not following fleet orders to leave the Xing system, putting us all at risk, releasing those Xingnis prisoners of war. Having a State Department ambassador manhandled by your uniformed goons, and I wouldn't be surprised you purposely had the gravity plate in my cabin shut off too, causing me bodily harm. Well, I did want to at least thank you, Rebecca, before the Admiral has me thrown in irons. Glen calmly replied. Thank me? Yes. Thank you for your help with the Shingnese prisoners. You kicked me out of the conference room. She reminded him. The fear of you returning did help a lot, Ambassador Stern, explained Commander Granite. It was a long shuttle ride with Rebecca Stern. She was non-stop in her condemnations of all four of them, especially of Glen. When the shuttlecraft finally landed on the deck of the Atlantic's hangar bay, the four men disembarked from the craft as soon as the green lights signaled the repressurization of the bay. Upon disembarking from the shuttle, they were greeted by a young Interstellar Navy ensign wearing a pleated navy blue skirt with yellow piping trim. Its cut was just above her knees of her very attractive legs. Her top was a tightly buttoned light blue blouse that did not conceal the curves of her breasts. Over her blouse, she wore an open navy blue waist jacket, also with yellow trim piping. On her epaulets, single brass bars identified her rank. Her left arm patch was the patch for the IES Atlantic, the image of a colorful Atlantic-spotted dolphin jumping from dark blue ocean waters, the Milky Way galaxy hung in the night sky. Her right shoulder patch was the flag of the Earth global government, the light blue images of the western and eastern hemispheres of the Earth on a pitch-black field. The hemispheres hung above a smaller yellow image of the Earth's moon. Her uniform was very similar to Commander Granite's uniform, except that he wore silver triangles on his epaulets identifying his higher rank. His left circular shoulder patch was that for Central Navy Command, an icon image of a pyramid with a golden capstone super imposed over the Milky Way galaxy. Granite's uniform consisted of pants instead of the pleated skirt of the ensigns. Glen thought it was for the best, since he was confident that Granite would not look nearly as nice in the pleated skirt as the young ensign. Flanking the ensign were 6 pulse rifle-armed Fleet Marines in their dress black and blues. All of them wore 4 arm comms and black leather side arm holsters tied down around their right thighs. Below their gray scale-colored patches, they had gray stripes signifying their non-commissioned ranks. Their uniforms, though, were not what they seemed. They were all made of nanotech fibers that gave their uniforms 3-color layered cuttlefish reactive camouflage, personal environment control, and defensive properties against projectile and energy weapons. Glen wore a simple black cotton pullover shirt and a cotton and polyester blend loose-fitting pair of pants. The only thing he wore in common with the military personnel was his leather steel-tipped boots. He liked the ankle support the boots gave him. Captain Rubel's uniform was the same cut as Commander Granite's Navy Fleet uniform, except that his waist jacket was battleship gray along with his pants. Both had light blue trim. His jacket epaulets had 2 silver triangles. His left shoulder patch was that of the Marco Polo, a colorful image of the 13th century Venetian explorer. On his right jacket shoulder was also the flag of the EGG. His front button-down shirt was white. Above the left pocket in light blue letters over a battleship gray background was the name of the YS Marco Polo. On one of his shirt collars were 2 silver triangles. The other collar had a silver pin of the bust of Marco Polo. Glen wore the same pin on the collar of his pullover shirt. I am Ensign Isabella Santiago. Captain Mahan stepped forward and took the very attractive ensign's hand. Captain Mahan, at your service. He then kissed her hand. You are of superior rank, Captain. I should be at your service. The ensign, a bit uncomfortable but flattered, replied to the handsome captain's attention. You, though, are of the superior and much finer sex, answered Mahan, still holding the young ensign's hand. Perhaps, Romeo, we should send you back to the Polo for a cold shower, suggested Granite. Mahan stepped back. He wanted to ask the ensign if she would like to join him in the cold shower, but even for him, he knew that might be crossing the line too soon. Ensign Santiago's cheeks blushed as she tried to regain her composure. Would you please follow me? Ambassador Stern, your assistants will have to wait here. She smartly made an about-face and led the Polo's crew members off the hangar deck and down one of the warship's corridors. 2 Marines led their way while the other 4 followed them from behind. Why do I get the feeling we are under arrest? Said Glen. Feelings of guilt, suggested Captain Rubel. Clearly, screeched Ambassador Stern. This is normal security procedure for non-ship's personnel aboard a fleet warship, informed Granite.